China is one of the 4 ancient civilizations. Tea originated in China with a 5,000-year history. The discovery, cultivation, and diverse drinking methods of tea have also led to a rich tea culture. The green, black, and oolong teas we often drink are generally made from fresh leaves from the same tea plant. The key differences lie in subsequent processing, specifically the degree of fermentation. For example, green tea is unfermented, black tea is fully fermented, and oolong tea is partially fermented. Furthermore, the processing methods such as steaming or roasting alter the chemical composition of the tea, resulting in different tea colors and flavors. China is a major tea producer, but counterfeiting has also become widespread. Today, we'll introduce several methods of tea counterfeiting and how to distinguish genuine tea from fakes. First, let's talk about tea trees. Normal tea trees can only be harvested twice a year, in spring and autumn. But if you spray the tea trees with hormones after the leaves are harvested to accelerate their growth, what will happen? You'll never imagine the results. In just 7 to 10 days, the tea trees can sprout. Would you dare drink this kind of tea? Let's take a look at the revelations of the 2 bloggers below. What you see before you is what's called Taida tea. Taida tea is planted in a greenbelt format with rows of tea trees along the road. Taida tea must meet 3 criteria. First, the planting density must be high. Second, pesticides must be applied. And third, fertilizers must be used. The pesticides are applied with germination promoters, also known as hormones. 7 days later, you can harvest the leaves. A machine pushes the tea along the trees like a haircut. Once the pesticides are applied every 7 days, the tea can be harvested again every 7 days. I sprayed my tea trees with pesticides. I admit it, and I'm not lying. Many people like to drink young tea leaves. 10 days ago, I sprayed them with a germination enhancer called rooting powder. Today is the 21st, and 10 days later, I'll show you just how effective this pesticide is. See that? They've sprouted, you see? These are all new sprouts. Look at the bottom and this side. One branch has sprouted completely. I came a little late today. Look at this, already sprouted. Don't you all love drinking young buds? Aren't they beautiful? This one is sprayed with pesticides. Look at the unsprayed one. See if it's sprouting. The branches that are sprayed just now are all young buds. This tree doesn't have a single bud. This is real. This tree hasn't been sprayed with pesticides. As you can see, there isn't a single bud. Look at these branches now. So many new buds are sprouting. This is a real bonanza. Spraying a tea tree with pesticides only costs a few cents in RMB and can stamp these new buds and sell them to you for 1,000 yuan. That's a profit margin of thousands of times the return. The above describes the tricks of the tea trees. There are more ways to counterfeit tea leaves. Below are some of the most common techniques. Method 1. Dyed tea with added pigments. Dyed tea refers to low-quality tea dyed with industrial pigments such as lead chromium green and lemon yellow. For example, unscrupulous merchants dye aged Chinese tea Westlake Longjing with lead chromium green and resell it. Black tea is dyed with the industrial pigment lemon yellow. Although these dyed green and black teas may appear more attractive, they are toxic teas and are harmful to your health. The industrial pigment lead chromium green in particular can cause chronic lead poisoning. This can seriously harm organs such as the nervous system, liver, and kidneys. While the water-soluble synthetic pigment lemon yellow is largely non-toxic, excessive consumption of black tea containing it can cause symptoms such as asthma, diarrhea, and migraines, which are detrimental to your health. So, how can you tell if your green or black tea from China is genuine and has not been dyed? Let's hear from a senior tea appraiser. How do you identify pigmented tea? I'll explain it to you. Simply take 2 clear cups of cold water and add the 2 teas you want to compare to each other. Stir thoroughly. If the color of the tea turns very dark within 10 seconds, then it's a done deal. It's definitely a pigmented tea. Why? Because pigments are divided into two categories, industrial pigments and natural plant pigments. Natural pigment solubility is almost insoluble in cold water. It only dissolves at high temperatures, that is, when boiling water is used. This is why you see tea change color when brewed with boiling water. Industrial pigments, on the other hand, dissolve immediately in cold water as long as they come in contact with water. Therefore, only industrial pigments can change color in low temperature, that is, cold water. So, have you learned this? Second method, using flavoring to enhance the aroma of tea. Many teas on the market use the aroma as a selling point, especially jasmine tea and rose tea, which Americans love. So how do some fake teas get their aroma? By adding flavoring. Flavoring often contains various chemical solvents and artificial compounds. These substances are released into the tea liquid as it's brewed. Long-term drinking can lead to a weakened immune system, damaged liver function, and even an increased risk of cancer. Watch the video uploaded by this blogger below to see how these vendors add flavoring to tea. Pour the essence into a measuring cup and turn on the air compressor. Aim the nozzle at the tea leaves and turn on the spray switch. Spray the essence and mist into the bucket. The tea leaves will dissolve in the mist and stirred simultaneously. Thus creating a scenting process. Let's take a look at the atomization effect. Using a high-pressure atomizer nozzle, the effect is amazing. So how can you tell if your jasmine tea, especially Chinese flower tea, has been processed with industrial fragrances? This method is very simple. Let's take a look at the two methods taught by this blogger. How to identify flavored tea? Save this practical guide. When you receive a bottle of tea with an exceptionally strong aroma, do you worry it might be flavored tea? Actually, there are two simple ways to identify and avoid the trap effectively. Method 1. Prepare a dry paper towel and a glass. Pour the tea into the glass and pour boiling water over it. Cover the glass with a paper towel. Wait 1 minute, then remove the paper towel. Once the paper towel has cooled, smell it to see if there's a lingering pungent aroma. If so, it's most likely flavored tea. Flavored tea when brewed with hot water will have a strong aroma. The aroma is severely depleted after the first and second brewings, and by the third it will drop drastically and almost completely disappear. Method 2. Use cold water to make tea. Normal tea leaves will not have a scent when in cold water. Boiling water is required to invigorate the aroma. However, if you still smell the aroma with cold water, it means you have a flavored tea. Flavorings are water-soluble substances with low boiling points, and those leaves in cold water for 30 seconds will produce a distinct aroma. Have you mastered the above two methods? Method 3. High temperature and high humidity aging. This aging technique is one of the most common counterfeiting methods for pu'er and white tea. High temperature and high humidity aging involves placing the tea leaves in a relatively sealed environment, repeatedly increasing the temperature and humidity. This continuous high temperature and high humidity environment causes intense thermal oxidation, resulting in the rapid aging of the pu'er and white tea. The tea produced in this way may appear oily and reddish-brown, resembling genuine aged pu'er tea. However, drinking this tea not only lacks taste but can also be harmful to the body due to the moldy leaves, which can produce toxic substances. When it comes to distinguishing authenticity, genuine pu'er tea has a rich, layered aroma, a mellow color, and sweet flavor. Counterfeit aged tea often has an unpleasant, dull, fermented flavor and tastes bland. This video was uploaded by blogger Magic Bird. Take a look. Would you dare drink pu'er tea produced in this manner? As the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. This is the true fermentation process of tea. Two brands of tea are made this way, which the public can't see. If you were to see their fermentation process, you'd understand. They won't show you, right? So-called dust-free workshops are useless. They can't ferment ripe tea. You can even see insects moving around in the tea. You can't see them from a distance, but you can see them up close. Method 4. Use talcum powder to increase the tea's gloss. Talc powder is ground from the natural mineral talc. It's odorless and tasteless. When added to green tea, it not only adds weight but also hides the dark, inferior color of tea. Adding the powder can also make inferior tea appear like fine tea, rivaling high-end green teas costing over $1,400. Adding talcum powder to green tea has long been an unspoken rule among some tea factories. However, the harmful effects of talcum powder on the human body are far more severe than you might imagine. So how do you know if your green tea has been adulterated with talcum powder? See how this blogger teaches you. Tea that looks beautiful may be carcinogenic. Huashi powder is a potent ingredient used solely to enhance the appearance of tea. It can transform old tea into freshly picked tea. Some old low-quality teas can be brightened by adding this chemical, instantly transforming old tea into new. Long-term consumption of this type of tea can pose a cancer risk. So how can we identify this? We can observe the clarity of the tea. If it's extremely cloudy and persists, avoid drinking it. Even if the tea's quality is poor, the brewed tea will still be clear and bright after it's left to stand. Long-term drinking of tea containing this powder can be harmful to your health and may even cause cancer. Therefore, choose your tea with caution. Many people like to buy tea bags. While proper tea bags should be made with filter paper, some high-end brands have switched to plastic mesh bags. BBC Chinese published an article titled, "Study Finds One High-Quality Tea Bag Released Billions of Plastic Microparticles." The article stated, researchers purchased 4 different types of tea bags and placed the empty bags in water heated to 95 degrees Celsius, just as they would when making tea. They found that a single plastic tea bag released approximately 11.6 billion microplastics and 3.1 billion even smaller nanoplastic particles into the hot water, all of which are completely invisible to the naked eye. The article also stated, many tea bags sold in China are made of non-woven fabric. Non-woven fabric is also typically made by polypropylene. Polypropylene is a semi-crystalline thermoplastic. Most people in China believe their tea bags are made of non-woven fabric, a kind of cloth, but in fact, non-woven fabric is not cloth, but made of polypropylene. Even more outrageous is that some vendors, to save costs, use plastic directly to make tea bags. See the blogger's real-life experiment below. We've been drinking tea bags like this for years, and I always thought they were made of non-woven fabric. Could they really be made of plastic? If they are, it really makes my scalp tingle. Drinking plastic coated in high temperatures would have disastrous consequences. So let's just take it apart and burn it to see if it's actually plastic. Let's take it apart and pour out the tea leaves. But this bag doesn't look like plastic when I squeeze it. Can plastic be made this thin? Let's burn it with a lighter. First, pinch it with scissors. Oh my goodness, why does it turn black as soon as it's burned? And after burning, look, black stuff keeps dripping down. What is this? Let's take a look at this thing. It's turned into a black mass. Let's burn another one and see. The smell after burning is a bit unpleasant, a bit smelly. Look at it, it turns into a sticky substance. Now we can confirm that it's plastic. For a more direct comparison, let's burn this plastic bottle as well. This plastic bottle is made to contain food-grade materials, and we're still using the same lighter. See? After burning this bottle, this part is still white. Compared to the previous one, it's clearly different. And this one doesn't have any odor after burning. The tea bag is all black after burning. I just want to ask, after seeing this experiment, would you dare drink tea bags made of plastic again? I definitely wouldn't. Is drinking this kind of stuff good for your stomach? It's often these little details in life that we easily overlook that are exploited by unscrupulous businesses. These business owners are truly doing whatever they can to cut costs and gain a profit. I want to ask, where is your conscience gone? I simply want to ask you, would you dare give these tea bags to your family? 好，希望大家点赞、转发视频，让你的亲人和 Even more terrifying, the CCP's CCTV exposed a health tea called Big Snow Mountain, touted as both a health tea and a pain reliever. But surprisingly, this tea is actually made from chicken feed.
若是养生养生，
This health tea, upon inspection, is discovered to be made at a chicken feed processing factory. It's genuinely a lucrative business. A man named Huang bought some Chinese medicinal herbs and some painkillers online and then delivered them to the chicken feed factory. The factory crushed the raw materials and sold them for $2,000 per 100 kilograms. The next buyer, Huang, resold the tea to a man named Gao for $7,800. Gao knew that chicken feed needed some marketing ideas to sell well, so he approached a man named Li who specializes in health marketing to package it at a price of $17,000. The final price is $17,000. At this point, the price of this chicken feed had increased from $7,800 to $17,000. Then they began targeting health enthusiasts, selling them by the gram for dozens of dollars per box. Thousands of people rushed to buy these teas. Why? Because they added a painkiller called diclofenac sodium, which is truly terrifying. People who drank this so-called health tea felt well-being everywhere, so they kept drinking it. However, if you drink too much, you'll eventually develop serious liver and kidney problems. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.